Hey everyone, Gill Gross here. Post-match, Daniil Medvedev versus Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, Indian Wells 2023 quarterfinal. If you're not here for spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. Daniil Medvedev continues his ridiculous win streak and advances to the Indian Wells semifinal. This match obviously was a match that I thought would happen in the quarterfinals, and I predicted Alejandro Davidovich Fokina to win. I hope that if you watched my prediction that it upped the stakes a little bit as you were watching this match and increased your enjoyment of the match. It certainly did for me, as obviously if Davidovich Fokina actually were to pull it off, it would have been quite miraculous, as it was one of the bolder predictions I think I've made in quite a long time. And I was very pleased that Davidovich Fokina managed to make it as far as he did, because that was by no means a given. I was feeling all right about it coming in, by the way. Medvedev did have the rolled ankle against Zverev, luckily, and I was hoping that this would be the case. That wasn't an issue in this match, and he moved wonderfully. And with that being said, let's get into the takeaways here. Look, Medvedev, before the tournament, I called it the worst hard court in the world for him. Stand by it. He's been telling us the entire tournament that's the case. In fact, he doesn't even want to call it a hard court. He said to Mohamed Layani, "I'm a hard court specialist. I know what a hard court is, and this is not a hard court." And while that is inaccurate, it is a very, 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 very slow hard court where Medvedev has been bothered by the pace of the court. But nonetheless, what he has shown time and time again is that even on a court where his ground strokes do not penetrate, there is plenty that Daniil Medvedev brings to the table with his serving, with his defense, his consistency. And that was a big deal in this match. The biggest miscalculation that I made thinking about this head-to-head was the complexion of the points in regards to the defense versus offense dynamic. Meaning, I really felt that Medvedev would struggle offensively against Davidovich Fokina's speed. That was the main thing in my mind, besides the observations that I had independently about Medvedev and Fokina coming in. In terms of the tactics, that was the thing that I was seeing. And what ended up happening in the match, or the real miscalculation, was that rarely is Medvedev really attacking Davidovich Fokina in this head-to-head. Because ADF's mentality and personality is so aggressive, so offensive, he is usually the one taking the big cuts and taking offensive initiative in the points, whether he be serving or returning. That is how the rallies are playing out. Davidovich Fokina is usually the first to inject pace, the first to change direction, the first to come forward, the first to try a drop shot. All of these things that he attempts to look to build the point, or even more finish the point offensively, he generally beats Medvedev to that punch, and therefore it wasn't quite relevant. Medvedev's offense against Fokina's defense. What was far more relevant was Fokina's offense against Medvedev's defense. The first set was a total horror show for Davidovich Fokina for the most part. He was taking so many risks early in rallies. Very, very few of those risks were paying off. The unforced error rate was sky high, especially on the backhand, where he was really trying to crush almost every single two-hander. And again, it was not a good showing in the first set. Medvedev wasn't serving particularly well in the first set, which, you know, in theory should obviously be a really positive thing for Davidovich Fokina, but Daniil dominated all of the rallies to such a large extent that Medvedev could have won really without his serve. And in large part, he did. Rallies over 5+ shots in the first set, Medvedev won 20-8. And again, his discipline and his consistency were such effective advantages. In the second set, Davidovich Fokina certainly settled in and started playing tennis that gave himself a chance to at least compete in the match. The adjustments he made was, one, not driving every backhand, mixing in the slice, which was not only good so that, he would miss less, but also good because of what it did to Daniil Medvedev's court positioning. And in a similar respect, he mixed in those angled cross-court shots with lesser pace that he hit shorter in the court. Again, focusing more on the angle. Instead of hitting every ball as hard as he possibly could, mixing in that short angle was a really good way for Davidovich Fokina to build the point and make progress in the point without taking massive risk with his pace. And what we ended up seeing was Davidovich Fokina being more selective with his attack as a result, because he was slicing, because he was hitting short angle. He was able to at least wait until Medvedev was off the center line, out of position, perhaps sometimes inside the court, before he pulled the trigger and injected pace into the rally. Just wait for the moment. Build the point in a way where you're not going for broke while Medvedev, or not going nuclear while Medvedev is in perfect position, because that's just not a good risk-reward ratio on this court, considering Medvedev's defensive skills. And another thing that I thought Davidovich Fokina did in set 2 was plain and simple, just take a chill pill on the backhand. Just don't try to hit a winner on every backhand. Very simple. Look, we've known this. Fokina's shot selection is pretty shoddy at times. But in the second set, I think he dialed it in and found a good balance. As a result, in the second set, Davidovich Fokina created opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for himself. In fact, in Medvedev's first 4 service games, Davidovich Fokina created at least one break opportunity in all 4, which means in total, the first 8 games of the second set, ADF had a game point in all 8. And at the end of the 8, the score was 4-4. That's tough. That is tough. And just watching it, it was almost, I'm going to get to this in a moment, but putting yourself in Davidovich Fokina's shoes, there is nothing more frustrating than missed opportunities at that kind of clip. But just looking at how they played out, there was a huge trigger pull from the outer thirds of the court on the forehand, which is always very frustrating to me when Fokina does that. He's very fast. He's excellent at recovering with his speed. So when he's out of position, he doesn't need to, again, go for broke. If he just defends with some discipline, his legs will get him back in the point. But no, that first break point in the second set goes for a massive forehand down the line and misses it badly. Second break point, we have a Medvedev ace. Third break point, we have a Medvedev service winner. Remember how I said that Medvedev's serve wasn't really good in the first set? Well, in the second set, I think it was a lot better, and it was clutch. It bailed him out of some key situations, other than the double faults, which were, there was really a steady diet of double faults in the second set. Other than that, I think that Medvedev served very well and with great timeliness. So you have the ace and the service winner. That's the first 3 Medvedev service games of the second set. Fourth Medvedev service game of the second set. Love 40. Love 40. All right. We have, at Love 40, another awful trigger pull on the backhand. Atrocious, terrible, bad, awful shot where he's on the run, low contact point. He's hitting it from the single sideline, and he goes for the hero shot. Backhand down the line, tries to crush a winner. Atrocious. There are no excuses for shots like that. Because, again, he's in the point, and he's shooting himself in the foot with his decision-making there. Killing himself. So that was Love 40. 15-40, he missed a second serve return. This was another thing that I thought was way off for Davidovich Fokina. The second serve return strategy, it made no sense for me. Now I'm going to pull up the stats here. For the match, Medvedev won 55% of his second serve points, but he hit 7 double faults. So 7 times Davidovich Fokina didn't need to play the second serve return point. And then if you take that number, 55% won with 7 double faults, it really tells you that when Medvedev was making the second serve in the box, he was winning at an extremely high clip. That would be well over 60%. Well, Davidovich Fokina was taking the second serve return early and trying to rush Medvedev. That is not right. You can't rush Medvedev. He's unrushable. Andrei Rublev, who has been playing Daniil since they were 7, has said that. I think Andrei knows. So, and it goes back to Davidovich Fokina's athleticism and how to use it. The way to use it is not to try to take risks on the second serve return that usually aren't going to pay off even if you make it, and weren't paying off even when he was making it. Instead, get into the rally, dig your teeth into the rally. In the second set, when Davidovich Fokina was making those, the adjustments that I talked about earlier in the video, he started to play right there with Daniil in the longer exchanges. He completely changed it. So I said 20 to 8 in the first set in rallies over 5 shots. Well, in the second set, Davidovich Fokina Medvedev won rallies over 9 shots, 9 to 8 instead of 8 to 2. So it was much more even. So again, I took a little diatribe here, but I'm talking about the 4th Medvedev service game when he came back from Love 40. The awful trigger pull on the backhand, making it 15-40, and then the missed second serve return at 15-40, where Davidovich Fokina actually got jammed by a body serve on the second serve, which, again, I think that is a really, really frustrating thing, because you shouldn't be standing in the first place, which means you shouldn't be getting jammed up by a body serve, because you should be back. Then back to the Medvedev serving. Daniil hits an ace. Very, very good. So Fokina had 2 chances. He blew them. Medvedev didn't give him a chance on the third. And then at 5-all, the decisive moment in the second set after all of the missed opportunities for Davidovich Fokina was this 5-all service game where Fokina missed 3 backhands long in a row. Backhand unforced errors via Infosys ended up being 11 for ADF, 1 for Medvedev. I find Infosys to be way too soft on the unforced errors count. I much prefer the way Tennis TV scores matches, and I believe in Tennis TV they flashed up a stat in the second set and unforced errors were 23 to 4. So if the Davidovich Fokina backhand, it was much too erratic in this match, and this was a game where I thought the biggest frustration for him is he missed the same shot the same way 3 points in a row, which has to be frustrating. I do think mentally he was fried at this point. Now, I do want to also harken back to one other thing I said in the preview, which is that Davidovich Fokina is working on staying calm, and I just think has had a much better demeanor on court and is playing with less emotion. I feel like I saw that in this match. Now, you might say Gilly couldn't convert a break point, so clearly he's not better mentally. Yes, he was terribly unclutch in this match. There's no doubt about it. But I was pretty impressed with how he kept it together in the second set in response to those missed opportunities. I was worried, after, 2-all for Davidovich Fokina, after the 3-all game for Davidovich Fokina, all of these moments where Medvedev kept saving break points, I kept thinking, okay, that's probably it. There's no way Davidovich Fokina is going to stay calm enough to actually hold serve off the back of missing these break points. And time again throughout the second set, he actually did that. Was he kind of fuming? Was he boiling over? Yes, a little bit. You could see that happening. I think that would happen to any player. Any player. But all in all, I think it was a good effort mentally when it comes to staying calm. Was it a good effort when it comes to playing big points well? No. All right? That's the distinction. Calm, good. Big points, bad. All right? Last thing I want to talk about is the net game. Medvedev, I like the way he volleyed in this match. Yes, he's selective. No, he's not making a lot of difficult volleys. No, I didn't see a lot of forehand volleys for him in this match. I prefer Medvedev's backhand volley. I actually think it's pretty good. I think the forehand volley is much worse. But Medvedev definitely stole some or won some pretty key points by finishing at net. That was the main thing I was worried about with Medvedev, is how is he going to finish points in this matchup? I thought there were some good volleys for ADF. There were some spectacular volleys. There were a lot of bad backhand volleys, especially when he was trying to drive the backhand volley. Now, if you look at kind of how some of those mistakes played out, they didn't cost him as much as I think they could have. But that was an area that I think hurt Davidovich Fokina and helped Medvedev, was actually the net game, surprisingly enough. So next up for Medvedev is going to be Tiafoe. Really cannot wait for that one. That'll be the semifinal. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.